Detroit's most feared crew in the 1920s. The Purple Gang, so violent, even Al Capone refused to work with them. Led by the Bernstein brothers, Abe, Joe, Ray, and Izzy, the Purples controlled the city's bootlegging. They smuggled liquor across the Detroit River from Canada, turning speakeasies into cash machines. Their muscle, Abe Axler and Eddie Fletcher, nicknamed the Siamese twins of crime. These guys handled the dirty work, kidnappings, extortion, and hits. The Purple's reputation peaked with the Collingwood Manor Massacre in 1931. 3 men gunned down in cold blood, making headlines nationwide. But power breeds chaos. Infighting, police crackdowns, and rival mobs tore the Purples apart by the mid-1930s. Their empire collapsed, but their legend lives on as Detroit's original crime kings. Follow OC Street Files for more quick hits on gangs, cartels, and global crime history.
Detroit, Michigan, the Motor City. In the 1920s, this was a city of factories, jazz, and fast money. But when Prohibition hit, Detroit became something else. The smuggling capital of America, and ruling its underworld wasn't an Italian mafia or Irish mob. It was a group of young Jewish toughs known as the Purple Gang. They came out of Detroit's east side from a neighborhood called Paradise Valley in the old Hastings Street district. These were kids of Jewish immigrants, families who had fled Europe for a better life, only to find poverty and prejudice waiting in the Midwest. They grew up scrapping for everything: shining shoes, running errands, stealing fruit from carts. They were street smart, fast with their fists, and had no fear of the police. By their teens, they were picking pockets, robbing warehouses, and learning the ropes of the street rackets that ran Detroit. Their nickname, the Purple Gang, supposedly came from a butcher who once said about them, "They're rotten, purple like spoiled meat." It stuck. They were rough, mean, and impossible to control. When Prohibition hit in 1920, banning alcohol nationwide, Detroit became the front door to the biggest illegal trade in North America. Across the Detroit River was Windsor, Ontario, where alcohol was still perfectly legal. All you had to do was move it across that 1 mile of water, by boat, car, or even through frozen tunnels in the winter. The Purple Gang saw their shot. They started small, hijacking shipments meant for other bootleggers. Before long, they were running their own convoys protected by bribed cops and armed lookouts. Detroit police estimated that by the mid-1920s, as much as 75% of all illegal liquor entering the U.S. came through Michigan, and the Purples controlled most of it. With quick money came a new image: tailored suits, flashy cars, and fancy clubs. These weren't the scrappy street kids anymore. They were businessmen of the black market. Led by brothers Abe, Ray, and Joe Bernstein, the gang ran like a corporation. Abe was the diplomat, the face of deals. Ray was the muscle, cold, methodical, and feared. Joe handled finances, smoothing over legal problems with cash instead of bullets whenever possible. They built partnerships with gangsters across the Midwest, from Al Capone's Chicago outfit to smaller bootleggers in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Detroit became a middleman hub. Whiskey from Canada, moved by Purple Gang trucks, sold to the outfit for nationwide distribution. But the Purples didn't stop at liquor. They expanded into extortion, gambling, and union rackets. They ran a protection service for small businesses. If you paid, your store stayed safe. If you didn't, maybe your windows didn't. They even controlled a legitimate front, the Detroit Cleaners and Dyers Association, charging dry cleaning shops fees to operate. Anyone refusing got a brick through the window or a visit from a smiling enforcer with a warning. The Purple Gang was young, reckless, and deadly. They didn't operate by old-school mafia codes of silence and respect. They ruled through fear. They had no elders, no hierarchy, and no rules. Stories spread fast. Rival bootleggers would vanish after crossing them. Witnesses would forget what they saw in court. Even Detroit police officers avoided patrolling their territory after dark. And yet they were smart, using lawyers, bribes, and loopholes to avoid jail. At their height, the Purples numbered over 600 members and associates, dominating Detroit's rackets and controlling supply lines from Canada to Chicago. Their reach even touched politics. Local officials took donations, judges turned blind eyes, and City Hall learned it was safer to cooperate than to confront. But every empire has cracks. By 1931, internal jealousy started tearing the gang apart. Some members wanted more money, others felt disrespected. Betrayals brewed quietly until it exploded at a place called the Collingwood Manor Apartments. 3 members, Jaime Paul, Izzy Sutker, and Joe Lebovitz, were invited to a peace meeting. They thought it was a sit-down to settle differences. Instead, it was a setup. Gunfire ripped through the room. All 3 were killed instantly. When police arrived, the door was locked from the inside and the killers were gone. It was the first time the public saw just how far the Purples would go to keep control. The Collingwood Massacre shocked Detroit. It wasn't just gangsters killing gangsters. It was brothers turning on brothers. The press called it the day the Purple Gang lost its soul. After Collingwood, the Purples began imploding. Informants came forward. Rival crews filled the vacuum. Federal agents moved in with new tools. Wiretaps, financial audits, and interstate laws that made smuggling harder to hide. Some Purples went down for murder, others for tax evasion. Many fled the city, heading west or joining other mobs under new names. By 1935, the once invincible gang had scattered. Abe Bernstein tried to go legit, investing in businesses and even helping mediate disputes for the Chicago outfit. But the golden years were gone. The younger members were either dead or behind bars, and Detroit's underworld shifted toward new blood. Italian and Irish syndicates who moved in to claim what was left. The Purple Gang's story didn't end with their fall. It evolved. They became urban legend. Their methods, centralized smuggling, violent discipline, and financial laundering, inspired organized crime across the country. Decades later, FBI agents studying crime history noted that the Purples were one of the first groups to bridge ethnic divides in the underworld. Jewish gangsters working with Italian, Irish, and black crews when everyone else stayed separate. Even pop culture kept their name alive. They're mentioned in songs, novels, and TV shows about the Prohibition era. But for Detroit locals, the Purples still mean something darker. A warning about how quickly poverty and power can turn into greed and destruction. Their empire lasted barely a decade, but their legends still written in blood and whiskey. They were Detroit's first real mob. Flashy, fearless, and doomed by their own ambition. This is the OC Street Files. Follow, share, and comment which crew, case, or legend you want to see next.
Y'all know the 5 families: Luciano, Gambino, Gotti. The Italian mafia didn't just run rackets. They ran America's shadows. From New York docks to Vegas casinos, they built an empire in plain sight. Politicians, unions, even Hollywood brushed shoulders with them. To outsiders, it looked like glam suits, cars, fame. But inside, betrayal, silence, and families ripped apart. Their rulebook was omertà: speak and you disappear. The mafia wasn't just crime. It was culture, money, and power tied together. Hollywood tells one story. OC Street Files tells the real one. Full breakdown soon on YouTube. Link in bio.
Long before the Vice Lords or the Disciples, Chicago had the 42 Gang. Formed in the 1920s, they weren't grown men. They were teenagers from the South Side. Broke, reckless, and hungry, they bragged they were one better than Alibaba's 40 thieves. They boosted cars, robbed stores, and pulled small hustles. Their fearlessness caught the attention of real mobsters, Johnny Torrio and Al Capone, who saw potential in these young outlaws. The 42 Gang became the training ground for the Chicago outfit. Names like Sam Giancana and Chucky Nicoletti started there before rising into organized crime. By the 1930s, many were dead or locked up, but the legacy stuck. The 42 Gang proved the path from street corner to crime empire was short for those bold enough to take it.
What's good, people? Big shout out to Joey Dunas. You asked for it, so we have it on the way. The story of the Teflon Don himself, John Gotti. Born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn, Gotti climbed from the streets to the top of the Gambino crime family. In 1985, he pulled the ultimate power move, taking out boss Paul Castellano and seizing control. The suits were sharp, the money was loud, and every courtroom loss made him more famous. But every empire has cracks, and Gotti's came from the people closest to him. Full episode drops soon on OC Street Files. Tag a friend who remembers the 90s mob era and hit follow for the full drop.
In southern Italy's Calabria region, poverty birthed a powerhouse, the 'Ndrangheta. Once dismissed as rural thugs, they now control an estimated 80% of Europe's cocaine trade. Their strength lies in blood ties, family clans that cross oceans and generations. They invest in ports, finance, even legitimate business to hide billions. The world fears them because you never see them. They move in silence, united by blood and loyalty. This is OC Street Files. Follow, share, and comment if power built on family ever really ends. Subscribe to the YouTube for full episodes. Link in bio.
The Bonanno family once stood among New York's most respected mobs, until betrayal hit from inside. In the late 1970s, undercover FBI agent Joe Pistone infiltrated as Donnie Brasco. For 6 years, he lived among Bonanno soldiers, gathering evidence that led to dozens of convictions. The revelation shattered the family's code and embarrassed the entire Mafia Commission. But they rebuilt, learning from the mistake and surviving longer than anyone expected. The Bonanno legacy is one of trust lost and lessons learned. This is OC Street Files. Follow, share, and drop a comment for Undercover Legends.
Among New York's 5 families, the Genovese crew earned a quiet reputation, brains over bullets. Charles Lucky, Luciano laid its foundation, but Vito Genovese turned it into a machine of influence. They focused on gambling, labor unions, and white-collar crimes that brought real money with little noise. Even law enforcement called them the Ivy League of organized crime. Their strategy? Let everyone else chase fame. They chased control. To this day, their structure remains one of the most studied models of criminal organization. This is OC Street Files. Follow, share, and drop a comment if you respect the art of staying silent.
Did you know one man turned the chaos of the mob into a corporate-style empire that still shapes organized crime today? Before Charles Lucky Luciano, the Mafia was a bloodbath of rival bosses fighting for power. Born in Sicily and raised in New York, Luciano came up hustling on the Lower East Side, running gambling, bootlegging, and protection rackets during Prohibition. But unlike most gangsters, Luciano thought long-term. In 1931, after surviving an assassination attempt, he struck back hard, wiping out his enemies and forming what would become known as the Commission. It was the first organized governing body for the American Mafia. 5 families united under rules, profits, and silence. Luciano's brilliance turned street crime into organized business. But the feds caught up with him in 1936. Even behind bars, he worked with the U.S. Navy during World War II to protect the docks from Nazi saboteurs, earning a reduced sentence. Deported back to Italy, Luciano never regained full power, but his system became the blueprint for every mob that followed. Was Lucky Luciano a criminal genius, or just the smartest gangster in history? Tell us in the comments.
Did you know one New York gangster tried to assassinate the man who taxed him and paid for it with his life? In the 1930s, Arthur Dutch Schultz ran New York like it was his personal cash register. Bootlegging, numbers rackets, extortion. If money flowed, Dutch wanted a cut. He built an empire worth millions during Prohibition and lived like a king. But when Prohibition ended, his luck ran dry. Then came his real enemy, the IRS. Prosecutors hit him with massive tax evasion charges, the same way they took down Al Capone. Schultz beat the case once, but when the feds came again, he snapped. He told his crew he wanted to murder federal prosecutor Thomas Dewey, a bold plan that terrified other mob bosses. The Mafia's commission voted no, fearing it would bring the full force of the government down on all of them. Days later, Dutch was shot inside a Newark restaurant by assassins sent by his own people. As he lay dying, he mumbled nonsense, a gangster's final riddle the FBI never decoded. Was Dutch Schultz crazy or just bold enough to challenge the system? Drop your thoughts.